After becoming a well-known writer, my son expressed his heartfelt gratitude to all his family members during an interview. But he spoke to me in a sarcastic and mean way. "Thank you, Mom, for your constant pestering," which caused Dad and Aunt Venus to miss each other and live with regret for a lifetime. Because of this, I wanted to give them a perfect ending in my book. After the interview was broadcast, I was subjected to online violence. In a trance, I was hit and killed by a car. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day when I first discovered that my husband secretly took our son to have a date with Venus. This time, I didn't cry or make a scene. Quietly, I pushed the divorce agreement towards him. I will no longer sacrifice my career for the sake of the family. And I will definitely not give up on myself for an ungrateful person. Is this interesting? Is it really that hard to admit that Aunt Venus is better than you? My son pushed me hard, and my waist hit the cabinet. The sharp pain brought me back to my senses. Looking at everything in front of me, I suddenly realized I was reborn. I was reborn on the day when Travis first took our son to have a date with Venus. Venus was Travis's first love. When they graduated from university, Venus left with a rich second-generation guy and abandoned Travis. Now that she's back, Travis is starting to get restless again. Seeing me standing there expressionlessly, my son turned around and threw all the things on my dressing table onto the floor. "Let me go quickly. I want to see Aunt Venus." I looked at the son I had raised for 17 years. 17 years old is not a little kid anymore. He should at least have a basic sense of right and wrong. "Do you know that your dad is having an affair with Venus?" His eyes dodged for a moment. And then he turned his head and said defiantly with his neck stuck out, "Your heart is dirty. So you see everything is dirty. They are just very good friends." I clenched my fists and took out the screenshots on my phone to show him. Friends? Do friends say they love you and want to kiss and hug you? Do they send those disgusting pictures? Looking at the things in front of him, my son suddenly flew into a rage and threw my phone onto the floor. "It's all your fault. You're so ugly and boring. Aunt Venus is young and beautiful. And she's a writer. Anybody with sense knows who to choose." Travis had had enough of watching the drama. He smiled proudly at our son and then turned to me with a look of impatience. "Come on. I'm doing this for our son. He wants to be a writer. And Venus happens to be a writer. She will be very helpful to our son in the future. Besides, I'm a responsible person. Even though I love Venus, I will fulfill my responsibilities and won't divorce you." As he said this, he tried to push me aside and let our son out. In my previous life, I tried my best to stop them. But in the end, my son and Travis hated me completely. This time, I don't want to care anymore. And I don't want this son either. I'll give you a chance to freely choose your mother. My son was stunned for a moment. He seemed not to have expected me to ask such a question. But soon he replied in a firm tone, "Of course. I want Aunt Venus to be my mother." I smiled and nodded. "Sure. From now on, Venus will be your mother. We have nothing to do with each other anymore." As soon as I said these words, both my son and Travis's expressions changed. "What do you mean? Are you going to pick a fight with our son?" I shook my head and looked at Travis. "Travis, we're getting a divorce." My son's eyes lit up instantly. He grabbed my arm and asked happily, "Really? Then Aunt Venus will be my mother?" Travis stood up from the floor, ready to lose his temper. But he was stunned when he heard this. "You're not a child anymore. Can you stop threatening people with divorce all the time? I'm telling you, if we get a divorce, our son will definitely be mine." "Fine, when almost I won't go today. Are you happy now? Are you satisfied?" My son's face immediately fell. And he looked at me with a look of dissatisfaction, as if I were a heinous criminal. I actually dedicated my whole life to such a child. In my previous life, Travis used the custody of our son to threaten me. And I swallowed my anger and stayed, because I knew that Travis was unreliable. Once I got a divorce, he would immediately have a second child with Venus. And then the things our son could get would be greatly reduced. So I endured the sadness, stayed by my son's side, took care of his 3 meals a day, and planned his future for him. I endured Travis's betrayal, my son's lack of understanding, and his hurtful words, only hoping that he would understand my good intentions when he grew up. Finally, heading fulfilled beside, I watched him go to university, and all the family property was smoothly handed over to him. However, in the year he graduated from university, my son published a book. In his first interview after becoming a well-known writer, he expressed his sincere gratitude to everyone in the family. But he left me out. He also publicly announced during the interview, "Let me tell you all a secret. The prototype of the male protagonist in the book is my dad, and the female protagonist is Aunt Venus, who has been very kind to me since I was a child. I missed each other for a lifetime because of my mom's pestering. So I want to give them a perfect ending in the book." After the interview was broadcast, Venus wrote about her love story with Travis on her Weibo. She portrayed herself and Travis as a pair of star-crossed lovers. And the reason I could marry Travis was that I used the child to blackmail him. As a result, I became the villain in everyone's eyes. I was said due to online violence. And in a trance, I was hit and killed by a car. After my death, my son happily took the compensation money that was exchanged for my life and bought a big house for Venus and Travis, calling them Mom and Dad affectionately. At that time, I was just a wisp of resentment floating in the air, watching their family of 3 being happy together. I just thought it was ridiculous. All my previous efforts were just ridiculous self-moving. Now, I'm lucky enough to have a second chance at life. I took out the divorce agreement that I had rubbed countless times from my bag and placed it in front of Travis. "Let's get a divorce. Travis. You can go and pursue your true love. And I don't have to be the bad guy who stands in the way of you finding your true love anymore. Son. We have nothing to do with each other from now on. Don't come looking for me in the future." My son immediately laughed. He quickly took out a pen from his school bag and stuffed it into Travis's hand. "Dad. Sign it quickly." "Hooray. I'm going to tell Aunt Venus this good news. From now on, no one can stop our family of 3 from being together." Travis still wanted to threaten me with the divorce agreement. "You'd better think it over. If we get a divorce, I won't let you take our son away. I don't want our son. And I only want 500 yuan from our joint savings. If you don't give it to me, I don't mind paying a visit to your and Venus's workplaces. Venus advocates happy education. She will take our son on field trips for writing." Travis held the divorce agreement and dawdled reluctant to sign it. I sneered. So he also knew that the current happy education concept wouldn't work. My son has a dream of becoming a writer, but the things he wrote are really nonsensical. And his submissions have been rejected repeatedly. I couldn't bear to see him sad. So I signed him up for a specialized tutoring class to let him learn the basic skills of writing. But soon, my son became a bit irritable. He thought that the high school coursework was too heavy, and the tutoring class only added to his burden. Just then, Venus appeared, under the guise of happy education. She took my son out to have fun. She also said that the most important thing for a writer is talent and inspiration gained from life. I insisted that my son should learn the basic knowledge of writing. But whenever he wasn't satisfied with his studies, he would come home and drag Travis to quarrel with me. Seeing that I was determined to get a divorce, Travis actually called Venus directly to our home, thinking that this could force me to give in and make me be as tolerant as before. Venus was on the phone with my son's head teacher, loudly asking for leave, saying that she was going to take my son on a field trip. I slumped on the sofa and pretended to be deaf. I had just looked at a house on a rental app. It had a large floor-to-ceiling window and a spacious and comfortable study. Both Venus and I were students majoring in literature. When we were at university, I also had good grades and published many articles. But later, I got married, had a child, and was entangled in daily trifle. Sometimes I wanted to pick up the pen and write. But in this family, there was a dining table, my son's desk, a mahjong table, but there was no desk for me. So I want to give myself a spacious and bright study and a desk to help me start writing again. The real estate agent soon contacted me and wanted to take me to see the house. Venus had already got my son's leave approved. She walked up to me hypocritically. "Serena, I didn't do it on purpose. It's just that the father and son both like me so much. It doesn't matter. After all, a dog can't change its nature of eating shit. You don't have to be proud of being the shit. Her face changed instantly. My son wanted to defend her, but I slapped him across the face. It would be better to raise a piece of barbecued pork than to raise him. Since you love each other so much, hurry up and urge Travis to sign the divorce agreement. After saying that, I changed my shoes and went out. Travis shouted at me from behind. Where are you going? The house is in a mess. Aren't you going to clean it up? Clean up your father's grave. I slammed the door shut. On the way, when a neighbor asked me where I was going, I said, the mistress came to the door, and my son is pestering her, calling her mom. So I'm making room for their family of 3. In the past, for the sake of my son's physical and mental health, I tolerated everything. In the end, all the happiness belonged to others, and all I got was breast nodules. So after being reborn, I love to shout to the sky, don't bully honest people. The family scandal has been exposed thoroughly. I took Travis's card and went shopping in the mall. I bought a desk worth 10,000 yuan. I bought a computer worth 20,000 yuan. I ate a meal that cost 500 yuan. I've been stingy for so many years. And all the money I saved went to the mistress. I was a big fool in the past, but now I've awakened. After having a wonderful meal, I had a SBA. Just as I was about to go to a 5-star hotel to enjoy myself, I realized that I didn't bring my ID card. I could only regretfully go back to that shabby house in my new clothes. When I got back, Travis was sitting on the sofa with a dark face, waiting for me. My son and Venus were in the study, and from time to time, laughter and chatting could be heard. Shouldn't they be sitting together as a happy family of 3 at this time? What are they waiting for me for? Also, heading fulfilled my obsession. When on earth is the divorce agreement going to be signed? Serena, aren't you going too far? Looking at the scumbag man in front of me, I took deep breaths over and over again. But suddenly I erupted. I rushed into the kitchen, took out a knife, and directly chopped it onto the sofa beside him. The knife scraped off a piece of his pants, and there was blood flowing down his thigh. Am I going too far? How am I going too far? You brought your mistress into the house. What right do you have to say I'm going too far? Travis sat on the sofa in a daze. He was scared by me. I threw down my bag, took off my high heels, and threw them straight at his face. Speak. I've taken care of you guys for decades, giving up my job and my life for you. And what do I get? You bring your mistress right into the house, and our son is clinging to the mistress calling her mom. You tell me, who's the one going too far? Travis was running around with his head in his hands from my beating. Out of anger, I directly pulled open the front door. There were neighbors outside the door, all crowded there to watch the commotion. I directly invited them all in. Come on, everyone. Help me judge. Whose life is like this? I kicked open the study door, exposing Venus and my son to everyone. There's probably only one son who's so eager to take his father's mistress as his mother. My son shouted in embarrassment and tried to close the door, but was blocked by the onlookers. Ungrateful wretch. I've raised such a big son for nothing. Neither this father nor son is any good. Shameless mistress. The 3 of them turned red in the face from the comments of the onlookers. But my son glared at me fiercely. I picked up the broom beside me and whipped it hard at his face. You little brat. I haven't beaten you enough before. Venus said to stop hitting him, but immediately jumped to the side. My son even told Venus to stay away, in case I went crazy and hurt her. You idiot. Stop using your brain. Serena, just get a divorce already. The old lady among the onlookers was also shocked. After leaving me with this sentence, she also left. I took out the divorce agreement and slapped it in front of him. For the last time. Let's get a divorce. Dad. Hurry up and get a divorce. I don't want to see this bitch anymore. I want Venus to be my mom. She'll take me on field trips and help me become a great writer, instead of trapping me in tutoring classes and wasting my talent. I'm telling you, I can still become a great writer even without going to that tutoring class. Feeling a bit annoyed, I raised my hand and slapped him again. Now I felt better. You idiot. Not everyone can have a good father and then use a bunch of rubbish to become a great writer. Leonardo da Vinci was so amazing. And he also started by drawing countless eggs. Didn't he? My son pushed Travis to sign the papers. Hurry up and sign. She wants to leave on her own. Dad. You don't have to feel guilty about it. Travis had no way out. So he could only pick up the pen and sign his name on the divorce agreement. I smiled and gave my son a thumbs up. Early the next morning, my son took Venus and went to urge Travis to go through the divorce procedures with me. After going to the Civil Affairs Bureau to complete the procedures, we still had to wait for a 1-month cooling-off period to confirm. And then we would officially be divorced. Probably afraid that I would cause trouble at his workplace. 500 yuan was transferred to my account. I went to the new house. My son took a leave of absence from school and followed Venus to a place outside the city for a field trip. As a result, after 2 weeks of playing outside, my son didn't write a single article. Instead, in order to go skiing with Venus, he broke his leg. Travis immediately called me and told me about my son's injury. As if he was certain that I would feel sorry for him. Our son is in so much pain right now. Hurry back and take care of him. But how could a person make the same mistake twice? I hung up the phone directly. If he's in pain, send him to the hospital. I'm not a doctor. Travis was so angry that he could only go to take care of our son himself. And Venus had already run away on the pretext of going on a business trip. My son has been delicate since he was a child. Every time he was sick, he made everyone turn the house upside down. Travis lost his temper after taking care of him for just 1 day. He shouted it at our son furiously and kept calling me. You're his mother. It's only natural for you to take care of your son. If you're not in your right mind, go see a doctor. His mother is Venus. I hung up the phone, stretched, and continued typing. The beginning of a new long novel I published was picked up by the editor. And now it has been put on the shelves and signed a contract. What do their chaos and troubles have to do with me? I just need to wait for the divorce certificate in a month. On the day I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau again, Travis didn't show up. I had no choice but to go back to that damned house. My son was lying in bed. When he saw me come back, he bossed me around. Quick! Help me take a shower. I want to eat sweet and sour spare ribs and pig's trotter soup. I crossed my arms and looked at him. After I had been away for a month, he was darker and thinner. His hair was all messy on his head. And his clothes smelled sour. He looked no different from a homeless person on the street. My son used to love being clean. I don't know how he spent this past month with a broken leg. Did you hear me? Hurry up. When he saw that I didn't move, he threw an ornament beside him directly at me. If it was before, when I saw him sick, I would have been so heartbroken that I wished I could be sick instead of him. The last time he was in the hospital for half a month, he even gained 3 pounds after being discharged. While I lost 10 pounds because I was so exhausted taking care of him. And my dark circles were almost down to my chin. Travis pushed the door open and loudly talked about how uncomfortable our son had been recently because of his illness and how many classes he had missed. I crossed my arms and took an orange for myself and started eating it. Seeing me like this, Travis got anxious. He hasn't been to school for a month. The first round of review for the senior year of high school is already over. In this online exam, he only got 80 points in Chinese. And his composition didn't even pass. My son wasn't happy and shouted loudly. At Venus said that real geniuses should be looked at outside the existing evaluation system. What do you know? Travis flew into a rage and directly threw his phone at my son. With only 80 points in Chinese. Do you still want to go to college? A genius is a genius even without going to college. That's what Aunt Venus said. Venus. Venus. Are you out of your mind? It seems that Travis also knows what's really good for our son. But before, when I urged our son to go to tutoring classes, he would still advocate happy education. Now that I'm not the bad guy anymore, he's getting anxious. I happily cracked sunflower seeds and watched the two of them arguing fiercely. Just then, my Donna Sai. Venus came in. carrying a bouquet of flowers, and placed it beside my son. Travis. What's going on? Travis was still angry. When he saw Venus like this. Without thinking, he turned around and shouted at her, "How dare you ask? You took him out and got him injured. And then you just left him alone. What are you doing here now?" Venus's tears came instantly. And she immediately grabbed Travis's hand. "Travis. I went out to find a way out for Blair too." "Fine, weaponizes I." "Then tell me what you found." "There's a TV show that wants to create a writing genius. And they're very interested in Blair." My son sat up from the bed with a jerk, his eyes shining as he stared at Venus and held her hand tightly. "Really? I knew you were the best to me. Unlike my mom." He gave me a look of disdain and then fawned over Venus by holding her hand again. But my intuition told me that Venus definitely had something bad up her sleeve. Sure enough, her next words confirmed my suspicion. "But the TV show said that a genius has to be different. So Blair has to take a leave of absence from school." As soon as she said this, both Travis and my son were stunned. They instinctively looked at me, as if expecting my answer. I threw away the sunflower seed shells in my hand and waved my hand. "Don't look at me. I'm mainly here today to get the divorce certificate from Travis." "You?" Travis's face dark and quickly. He turned around and was about to come towards me. But Venus grabbed him and whispered something in his ear. "Are you serious?" "Really? I'm sure of it after this period of time. So I dared to tell you." Travis looked overjoyed and quickly forgot about me standing there. My son looked at the interaction between the two of them in confusion, and then turned to look at me. "What are they talking about?" I sighed, feeling that I had probably given birth to a fool. Travis changed his attitude immediately and quickly agreed to Venus's request. "Okay. Let our son drop out of school. Even without going to school, my son can still achieve great things. Then we'll show everyone else." My son didn't expect Travis to support him. He gratefully grabbed Travis's and Venus's hands. "Dad. Mom. I'll work hard and definitely won't let you down." The three of them, each with their own ulterior motives, stood together. I brought up the main matter again. "Hurry up. Let's go get the certificate." Thanks to Venus, I managed to get the divorce certificate without any major problems. Then, Venus and Travis couldn't wait to go and get the marriage certificate. While Travis was in the bathroom, Venus showed off to me. "Serena, I didn't mean to get married to Travis today. It's just that he loves me so much and was in such a hurry. I couldn't stand seeing this bitch happy. So I turned around and slapped her twice." "Venus, your creditors came to your door today. So you'd better think carefully about how much money you can get from Travis through this child. Well, let's make a guess. What will Travis do to you when he finds out that you were left with nothing by your ex-husband and that you're up to your neck in debt because of gambling?" She fell to the ground, pale-faced, looking at me in surprise. As if surprised at how I knew all this. I was reborn in this life and changed the fates of many people. In my previous life, Travis took our son to an appointment. But I called them back halfway. Venus happened to run into her ex-husband that day. The two of them got back together and even had a child. With that child, Venus got a sum of money, paid off her gambling debts, and even had some money left over. But because of my rebirth, she was called to the house by Travis and missed the encounter with her ex-husband. And this time, she had even more debts than in her previous life. The days when she disappeared recently weren't for any field trips. Instead, she went gambling again. So, she couldn't wait to ruin our son so that she could get all of Travis's money. Unfortunately, Travis himself is also a poor guy. Most of his savings have already been taken by me. Take care of yourself. Don't provoke me again. Or I don't know what will happen to you. I patted her face and left with the divorce certificate. Today is a good day. I posted my divorce certificate on the website and furiously updated 20,000 words. A number of favorites and clicks has made a qualitative leap. My editor and I beamed with joy. We reviewed the subsequent outline again and confirmed the direction for future writing. My son, influenced by Venus's words, actually dropped out of school. The head teacher of my son called me. But I hung up. Respect others' fates. Such a fool is hard to save even by the gods. The day before my son was sent to the program crew, he still sent me a message to provoke me. I'm going to become a talented writer soon. You'd better not beg me to come back then. When I become famous, I must get an autograph from my favorite Changyi. After saying that, he hung up the phone. I furrowed my brows in confusion. However, Changyi is me. Just then, my editor sent me a message: your work has gone viral. Unexpectedly, heading fulfilled my session. Overnight, my work actually shot to the top of the list. It was even reposted by a big V and had already entered the top 3 of the hot search list. There was also a director who contacted me to buy the copyright. I was flattered and quickly got in touch with the director. Soon, the director signed a contract with me. And the website also invited me to this year's award ceremony. I was so busy that I could hardly spare a moment. Every day, I was writing and revising manuscripts. I declined many interviews. All for the sake of writing the best novel. Both my son and Travis disappeared from my life. When I saw my son again, he had already changed his appearance. The website award ceremony was at the end of the year. I deliberately changed into a Xiangzam and did a hairstyle for myself. I looked radiant. Unexpectedly, as soon as I got out of the car, I heard someone calling me. I followed the sound and saw a thin and dark-skinned person waving at me. When he saw me looking over, he quickly grabbed me. "What are you doing here? Dressing so copiously? Are you eager to find a man as soon as you left my dad?" I carefully identified him for a long time before I realized it was my son. "Did you go to be a beggar? Is this your coming-of-age gift to yourself?" He didn't say a word. I asked someone to check for me, and then I knew. It turned out that what Venus said about the talented teenager was completely a lie to him. Venus sent him to a live streaming company, making him act like a clown in front of the camera every day. And sometimes he even had to do some borderline stuff. Boom chicka boom. Boom chicka boom. The live streaming company didn't treat people like human beings. My son was so tired that he became thin and dark. But all the money went to Venus. And he didn't even have enough money to add an egg to his noodles. "What are you here for?" I asked a different question. But my son stared at me viciously. "I came to see Miss Changyi. Although she has been through many years of hardship in marriage and got divorced, she still showed extraordinary talent. Unlike you. You are just a vulgar and Caucasus housewife." My son still had a very bad attitude towards me. In fact, I don't understand why he treated me like that, after I had been so devoted to him for so many years. But it doesn't matter now because the award ceremony was about to start. The host picked up the microphone and started to announce the program flow. "Let's invite this year's website rising star, Changyi. Everyone, welcome." The lights in the venue fell on me. And everyone applauded wildly. I left my son, who was gaping in astonishment, and walked into the venue with my head held high. He couldn't see my efforts or my talent before. And now he doesn't need to see them either. I will surely have my own world. Changyi makes her first appearance. This title climbed to the top 5 of the hot search list. Many people said that I was both talented and beautiful. And countless praises came pouring in. Travis also called me Serena. I was wrong. I shouldn't have divorced you. I love you. Can we get back together? Don't forget. Your current wife is Venus. Don't fucking mention that bitch to me. Travis angrily punched the table. It turned out that after Venus married him, she managed to turn her gambling debts into joint marital debts. It was too late when Travis finally found out that Venus not only didn't get any property from her ex-husband, but also owed a huge amount of debt. Those creditors blocked the door of Travis's house every day and threatened him that if he didn't pay back the money, they would go to his workplace and make a scene, causing him to lose his job. Travis wanted to get a divorce. But Venus, who was pregnant, didn't agree. The two of them were tied together and could only hate and blame each other. My comment on this is that they deserve it. Bitches should be tied together tightly and stop harming others. But after Travis and my son knew that I was Changyi, they clung to me like mangy dogs. As soon as I reached the door of the rented house, I saw Travis and my son kneeling in front of me. "Serena, I was wrong. Mom, I was wrong. The two of them apologized to me with tears streaming down their faces. I silently took out my phone, opened the live stream, and found an angle that could just capture them. I'll say it again. Venus is your family now. You don't know. That bitch Venus deceived me. Now I'm blocked by debt collectors every day. And she even made me lose my job. She also talked about that talented teenager. That was also a lie. Now I'm forced to do live streaming by the live streaming company and can't write at all. Mom. Please help me. I crossed my arms and looked at the two of them crying bitterly. All I felt in my heart was satisfaction. You think of me now? Wife. I was wrong. I shouldn't have had an affair with Venus. She seduced me. Mom. I was also wrong. I shouldn't have said I wanted Venus to be my mom. Only you are the best to me. Please forgive us. Give us another chance. I was really blind. How could I have been with a bastard like Travis in the first place? Whenever there is a problem, he shifts all the blame onto the woman. Does he mean his pants just fell to the ground by themselves, and Venus could get pregnant all by herself? But this wasn't the time to talk about that. Okay. I can forgive you. But I have one condition. The two people who had a terrible attitude towards me before knelt on the ground like dogs and nodded at me frantically. Okay. We'll agree to whatever you say. Tell me everything you've done to hurt me, or I won't be able to let it go. The two of them looked at each other. If we tell you, you'll forgive us? I smiled faintly. Once you say it, it will be over. Travis gritted his teeth and spilled everything out. I didn't know until he said it, and I was shocked. It turned out that he and Venus had never broken off contact. This marriage was a complete scam from the very beginning. After he finished speaking, he grabbed my sleeve. Wife. I was too slow-witted. I just realized that the only person I've ever loved is you. I was just bewitched by that bitch Venus. But don't worry. I will really only love you in the future. Okay. Seeing that Travis's confession had worked, my son also began to reflect on his past bossy attitude towards me. Mom. I shouldn't have treated you like a servant. I will take good care of you in the future. Dream on. Seeing that my goal had been achieved, I kicked my son to the ground. What do you mean? I waved my phone and pointed the camera at them. Come and say hello to the viewers in the live stream room. Damn it. You bitch. How dare you set us up? When Travis realized that he had been made a fool of, he immediately jumped up and tried to hit me. But the bodyguards hiding in the dark immediately jumped out and pinned him to the ground. When he fell to the ground in a sorry state, he looked like a clown. My son's face was pressed to the ground, and dirt got into his mouth. With tears streaming down his face, he grabbed my pant leg and called out to me, Mom. Didn't you say you love me the most? Have you forgotten? You've already abandoned your mom. Now your mom is Venus. I kicked away his hand that was holding my pants and left there wearing sunglasses. Since I made my appearance, Travis and the others have been constantly contacting me. I knew that they were a hidden danger. If they couldn't get what they wanted from me, they might stab me in the back. In the internet age, sometimes it's as difficult as ascending to the sky to refute a slander. Even if I can clarify it, my reputation will still be affected, and I will be haunted by such messy things forever. I won't give them a chance to smear me. Moreover, my new book is about to be published, and the new drama that bought the copyright from me before is also going to be released. It's better for me to detonate this mine with my own hands. Not only can I eliminate future troubles, but it can also increase my popularity. So, I secretly had someone tell Travis my address and met them here with my bodyguards. Sure enough, they lived up to my expectations. They were stupid enough and evil enough. Sure enough, everything happened just as I expected. And I was trending on the hot search again. Netizens praised my courage one after another. And they scolded Travis and his son mercilessly. Venus was also dug out by netizens. However, surprisingly, Venus's previous works were exposed for plagiarism, and many young writers joined together to voice their condemnation. When the wall is about to fall, everyone gives it a push. Soon, these three people became like rats crossing the street. Loved by everyone. The live streaming company where my son worked took advantage of this wave of popularity. They set up a live streaming room named Beating the Ungrateful Wretch. They made my son stand on the stage every day and receive various punishments. Different gifts corresponded to different punishments. I heard that if someone sent a flower, my son would have to pour a basin of dirty water over his own head. In just a week, my son, feeling completely hopeless, was sent to the hospital. Travis was fired by his company, and different people came to his house to scold him every day. He had no choice but to take his anger out on Venus at home. Venus first sent me messages asking for help, and later sent messages abusing me. But I ignored all of them. After all, I didn't have any extra kind heart dentist to spare for her. I still remembered clearly how she took the lead in inciting her fans to cyberbully me in my last life. I stopped paying attention to these people and devoted myself wholeheartedly to the preparation of my new book. After all these things, I gained popularity, and my works sold very well. The website and the editor were all encouraging me to grow bigger and stronger. After half a year of weaponizes, I finally completed the publication of my new book. The book was called The Disappeared Desk. As soon as the book was put on the shelves, it sold out. A media outlet arranged an interview for me. And the interviewer asked me, "Why did you come up with the idea of writing such a story?" Actually, I was also a writer before giving birth to a child. But after having a child, I became a mother. The desk that I originally used for reading and writing was piled up with sundries. There were my son's snacks, my husband's cigarettes, and fresh fruits on it. But there was no place for my books. I wandered around in the role of a mother for many years. But in the end, I was abandoned by everyone. At that moment, I was in great pain. But words saved me again. This was my story. The time and inspiration that had been worn away by family trifle would never come back. But fortunately, having fulfilled literature opened its arms to its lost child once again. I read books on the bed of my rented room, on the carpet, and even on the toilet. I used to think that the house was too big, but there was no place for my desk. Now, I think that although the house is small, there are desks for me everywhere. This book was told from the perspective of a middle-aged woman. Many of the readers who came were also women, but their ages spanned a wide range. After the story sharing ended, some people shed tears, and some people applauded for me. I hope my story can bring them some joy and strength to resist the wear and tear of this long life. In the applause, I suddenly saw an unexpected person in the corner. It was my son who had just been discharged from the hospital. He was so thin that he was nothing but skin and bones. He was holding my book, his hands trembling slightly. When the pages were wet, I didn't know what he was thinking. The wind blew the fallen leaves down. I slowly walked out of the venue, and my son followed me from behind. I immediately called the bodyguard to stand beside me. There was a sob in his voice, and he asked me in disbelief, "Mom, are you on guard against me? I'm your son." I didn't want to say the same words again, and I didn't give him any extra glances. I just closed the car door under the escort of the bodyguard and left there. In the rearview mirror, my son gradually became smaller. It was a bit like the way he was when he had just learned to walk, staggering towards me and hugging my leg, calling me Mom. At that time, he was still holding the article I had published in the newspaper when I was young, asking me to read it to him word by word. After I finished reading, he hugged my neck and kissed me softly. I want to be a great writer like Mom in the future. But this time, there was no great writer son anymore. Only a son who was a murderer. After my son got home, Venus went crazy at him hysterically, accusing him of why he didn't go to the live streaming company. Now, not only could he not get any money, but he also had to pay the liquidated damages. Travis was drinking alcohol on the side and didn't care about them at all. "You were already pregnant when you asked me to drop out of school and participate in the show, right? Why are you asking this? Did Dad also let me drop out of school because he knew she was pregnant?" Travis shook his head infuriately. "Yeah. Anyway, you're already a failure, so it's better to raise another child." When Venus heard this, she crossed her arms and laughed too. "I've never seen someone as stupid as you. Your own mother treated you with all her heart, but you disliked her to death. Others were calculating you. But you were licking their boots. When my son heard this, he didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed. This is just like my dad. Stupid genes are hereditary. Venus didn't have time to be surprised because the knife in my son's hand into her stomach. And blood was already flowing all over the floor. So I thought about it. Such inferior genes shouldn't stay in this world anymore. Travis screamed and wanted to call for help, but my son had already smashed a wine bottle on his head. He fell down softly and watched as his son cut open his carotid artery with his own hands. Dad, you deserve to die too. After my son finished all this, he called me and described everything that had just happened. Mom, I killed them. Don't hang up the phone. I want to see you one last time. The hardships of life had finally made him look mature. But it was all too late. He was in a hurry to cross the road, ran a red light, and was hit by a car. In the end, I saw him for the last time in the mortuary. After the funeral was over, I turned around and left, getting on the car that was leaving this city. In the future, I will never come back again.